Great. What an insightful session I had. Amazing. Thanks to Josh for giving such a lovely insight to the audience from a very broader perspective, giving us the right strength to understand the whole concept. I hope the audience is liking and enjoying the discussions that are going. And just I'm amazed that we have, as Josh has rightly pointed, we will be having more outlets of just to try out our cultivated meat. And let's see how it goes. Great. So I think we are already running, we are almost on time. So that makes everything perfect. So let's start with the next session. I will ask my team to, I hope Professor Kali has joined the session, and to give the audience a brief. The next session is on the research landscape of cultivated meat. And this session would be moderated by Neeraj, who is the head innovation and operations at Clearme. And the speaker is Professor Akcali, who is the co-founder and CSO at Biftek. So Biftek is another big company from the domain of cultivated meat, and I hope the audience enjoys it. So over to you, Neeraj, please, and welcome, sir. So let's start.
A very good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Neeraj Verma. Currently, I am holding the position of Head of Innovation and Operation in Clearmeat. Today, we have our expert guest, Professor Akcali. He is the Chief Scientific Officer in Biftek. He obtained his MD degree from Ankara University, and he also obtained his PhD from University of Cincinnati Department of Cellular and Molecular Biology. So, sir, I'm going to take over to you. Please introduce briefly yourself and tell our audience about and what Biftek is doing, how you pursuing your research in that company. Sir, it's up to you.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you very much. I thank you for your invitation for this opportunity. As you said, my name is Akcali, and I am the CSO of Biftek. Biftek is a startup company. It's a US company, but based in our labs are in Turkey. And I'm actually, as you mentioned, I'm an MD. And after I received my MD, I did my PhD in US. Now I am professor of in medical school in Ankara University, and I am also the director of Stem Cell Institute of the same university. In Biftek, Biftek is at Biftek we are trying to come up an answer for one problem that is associated for the progress of the cultivated meat industry. In that is the cost. So, for example, based on this, the cultivated meat takes advantage of differentiating or making the muscle cells from muscle stem cells. This is not a difficult task to do it. Actually, it's very easy. You can isolate the muscle stem cell, and then you can differentiate these muscle stem cells into the muscle cells, which is actually all organisms in the animal kingdom do this. So it is that's a normal process. But when it comes to the consumption or commercial wise, that is an expensive process normally, because you need a special solution for these cells to grow and to proliferate and then to differentiate in order to provide enough mass product for the consumption. And that is actually one this solution, what we call this fetal bovine serum. This is a serum that is obtained from the embryo of the bovine embryo. You kill the embryo as well as the mother, and you suck all the blood, and then centrifuge it and use the growth factors and the other kind of factors that are required for the growth of these cells. Now, and that is a very expensive product. which is actually like 1 liter of this fertile bovine serum is around $700 to $800. And you need to use certain amount of it. So that's the reason the cost of production of real cultivated meat, I'm not talking about the hybrid combination, but the real cultivated meat, it's very expensive, close to like $2,000 for the. So obviously there are not that many people that can buy that give $2,000 for 1 kilogram of a meat. So therefore, I think the basic problem here is, so at Biftek, what we are trying to do is to come up with another solution instead of fertile bovine serum. So that is, I can explain you later what we do, but as a nutshell, Biftek is a startup company which tries to or works or focuses on the developing of growth medium supplements to replace fertile bovine serum from this cultivated meat progress.
Okay, thank you so much for giving the insight about the technology and what Biftek is doing and what are the bottlenecks you are currently facing in that to develop the product and commercialize it. And sir, I'm going to start because we have a huge audience of which are coming from the student backgrounds and research scholars, scientists from industry and academy. So I'm going to start from the basic question, sir. What actually inspired you to pursue research in the field of cultivated meat, and how do you envision it transforming to the meat industry?
Okay, yeah, as I said, I'm an MD and PhD, and all my academic life, I work on the stem cells, different aspects of stem cells. We actually, in academia, we do iPS cells, induced pluripotent stem cells, mesenchymal stem cells, and all stem cells, all kind of stem cells share the same kind of feature. Now, some of them are more potent than the others, but some of them are only found in the embryo stage, and some of them are found in the adult stage. But all stem cells have this certain kind of similar features. So, since I am an expert, I spent like almost 30 years in this, and I did my PhD in the developmental biology and cell biology in US. So we think that this is which we use our expertise to use or to come up with something that could be used for all people. Now, okay, so the stem cells in health, it is important because you may need stem cells when you are sick or when you have a disease. But you need stem cells, muscle stem cells, for the protein production if you want to consume it as a protein, if you eat meat. So therefore, not everybody is going to be sick, but everybody needs proteins for the meat. So therefore, we thought about, when we started this startup, we thought about many things that are obviously, we set up this company in 2018 or 2019. We started the lab at 2019. But then we thought about what can we do to do something that could be used in this cultivated meat industry. So since my background and our co-founders' background also, we thought that we may come up with some idea to lower the cost of this production. So that is as I mentioned before, making muscle cells out of the stem cells or muscle stem cells is not a difficult task, but it is very expensive. So therefore we came up. So the solution should be, in order to follow the basic principles of cultivated meat, the solution should not be genetically modified, should not be animal product. So it should be 100% animal free. There shouldn't be any GMO material. So therefore, we come up with with a solution which we use microorganisms. It's a natural, no genetically modified, a natural, non-pathogen, and it is a natural product. So therefore, we came up with this story, or with this, but we felt that we can go, and there's a space for this area. So one of our co-founders is also a microbiologist, so we take advantage of her knowledge also in this product. So therefore, we decided to come, if we could, to come up with some kind of solution for this problem. And so far, I think we are in the good direction, and we already produced our first meat that is non-fertile, that doesn't contain any fertile bovine serum. And so it is, we think, we are looking for the next couple months to scale up this process in order to be used by other companies as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving insight about the technology and product aspect which Biftek is dealing currently. As you have mentioned that the fetal bovine serum itself cost a huge amount, and we have to look for the reduction of the cost for the cultivated meat product. So you are looking for the alternative to fetal bovine serum, and you using microbial technology to produce some growth factor and alternative to that. So in continuation with that, I want to ask you, sir, what are the some ethical consideration that need to be taken in the account when developing the cultivated meat or looking for the alternative to fetal bovine serum, and how can we ensure that animal welfare is prioritized throughout the process?
Okay, so maybe I should just show you one or two slides at this point, because
sure, sir. Sure.
This is just to explain, so it doesn't mean, let me just share this. So this is, for example, so the one that is on the left is where the fertile bovine serum is produced from the mouse, from the bovine embryo, and you kill this embryo and as well as the mother. And this is the one in the right hand side is our source for the fertile bovine serum. So it is obviously, even if you look at to this slide, you can see that there is no involvement of the animal in terms of to taking the growth factors and everything. So therefore, we decided. So since this is a animal-free product, so we don't use any kind of animal for these purposes. What we need is, for example, their microbiota or microorganisms in order to produce these growth factors. For example, let me just show you this. So if you think why we are interested in the microbiota, so this is a question. This slide explains why we are working on microorganisms. So if you consider, if you or audience may not know how many microbes are there on the earth, and it is actually this 5 times 10 to 30. So it is million, trillion, trillion. So 5 times million, trillion, trillion is the number of the microbes on earth. And if you also consider how many stars in the universe that we see, is 10 to 23. So it is like 800 million more, or more than 100 million more microbes on Earth than all the stars in the observable universe. So therefore, actually we can say that Earth is a microbial planet. So therefore, so it is this microbiology is the ultimate big data science. So we can get this information from these microorganisms. So if there were no microorganisms, we can't survive, because we already, all of us has at least 2 to 3 kilograms of microorganisms in our system. So if these microorganisms are not, so for example, if you use antibiotics, for example, and then you will see that your intestinal microbiota will be changed, and so you will be more susceptible for the other kind of problems, immune problems, for example. So that is why we are working for what is the reason for our choosing postbiotics, the microorganisms. But we are very familiar with these microorganisms because many products like yogurt and other kind of things contain probiotics now, but the probiotics contain the live organism, live microorganism. These are not pathogenic, but these are live organisms. But what we use is the postbiotics, what we call the postbiotics. These are the metabolic byproducts obtained from these microorganisms. So therefore, let me just stop so therefore, as for your question, since there is no involvement of any kind of animal product use of this, so there is no problem with ethical there is no ethical problem on that in our approach, I would say.
Excellent, wonderful, sir. Sir, in continuation with the production and scale-up process, I want to get more insight. How do you approach the issue of sustainability by producing the cultivated meat or alternative to fetal bovine syrup, or I am talking about the cell culture growth media and their supplements? How do you, sir, approach the issue of sustainability in this cultivated meat production?
I think it's an excellent question and point that because this is also one of the things that we work very close in order to keep the sustainability, because this is, as you pointed out very nicely, you can provide a solution right now, but that solution may not be the solution in next week or next year, whatever.
Exactly.
So therefore, actually, just before to answer these questions, if you consider the fetal bovine serum, the sustainability of the fetal bovine serum is not 100% sustainable, because every time you use an animal, so the next animal that you are going to use that is obtained, fetal bovine serum is obtained, may not be the same kind of animal. So therefore, so you can't provide the sustainability. But one of our advantage of our system or our product is, or our approach, I should say, since we are we obtain these from the bacteria, so these bacteria we have, once we isolate these bacteria, we have tons of these bacteria, and this is the same bacteria. So yes, whenever you want, for example, what we do is whenever we finish our product, then we go back to our freezer and receive another and grow this bacteria again, and then use it. And we always have the same kind of response from these kind of same microorganism products. So that is actually, instead of making, just one large freezer or minus 90 or minus 100 degree refrigerator or freezer would be enough to keep many different volume of too much of, too many liters. You can generate tons of these our solution. So the sustainability is not a question at all. And the other thing that is also just to lower the cost of this production, our product in the Biftek, what we do is it's a lyophilized form, which means that once we are obtained, we make a powder of it. So you can just ship it without need any cold chain. So that is also to decrease the cost of the production and shipment. And basically, literally, you can put it in an envelope and you can send this solution with a regular mail. So you can, and it contains at least 6 months. This lyophilized form or powder form contains its activity at least 6 months in the room temperature. So you don't need to put in the refrigerator if you are going to use it. There's no problem of solubility, and I think these are also important aspects of to keep up with the sustainability of any kind of product.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So, if we talk about the self-growth media, so we Clear Meat itself developed a in-house media, which is named as a Clear X9, and we have completely removed fetal bovine serum from that media, and it's completely natural. There is no synthetic component, and we compare the efficiency from the conventional method of growing the cells with the fetal bovine serum, and we compare with the Clear X9. We found that our cell in Clear X9 looking more healthy comparatively to the control one. And many companies are developing on their ways to looking for the alternative of fetal bovine syrups. As Biftek is developing the microwave technology, some companies are looking for the synthetic growth factors, and there are so many companies who are just emerging to develop the alternative of fetal bovine syrup and growth factors. So, sir, how do you see the market of cultivated meat and the cell culture media evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? And what the role do you see as a researcher or as a scientist as play to develop this industry and revolutionize these cultivated meat technology in future?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if just to answer, I am going to answer from the last question. Start from the last question. I think there has to be, of course, eventually, all the problems will be solved, because there is no other way, because of if you consider the increase of the population and the climate change and everything. So there has to be a solution should be found, and that is actually I would say maybe from 5 to 10 years, it will be more and more become available, this kind of things. According to the United Nations, a couple of years ago, there was they reported that 10% of the all meat industry will be from cultivated meat industry production by the year 2030, and then it may be 2030, 31, 32. That's, I mean, I'm not sure, but I think that we are all these all the people that are trying to do something are in the good direction. As a human race, or as a our people on the earth, so we have to find, there has to be a solution for this based on the population. I mean, if you consider that there were half of the people on earth at 50 years ago when you compare today, so there is, in 50 years from now, probably it will be if it goes like this, the population of the earth will be probably triple or quadruple of this what we have right now. So obviously we don't have the land is not increasing, obviously, and you need to provide, or you need to, I'm not saying that conventional meat industry will go away, because I mean, this is a process, that it has to be you cannot just say tomorrow all the conventional meat industry, you cannot say, no, you are not going to do it after this point, but it is going to be gradual process. So therefore, I think it's going to be, it has to be, because you need area or land for the animal, the food for the animal, as well as the climate problems. Yeah. So therefore, I think the important thing here is just to increase this. I think you need to lower the cost of this production in order to get, to receive pays for this. So what, if the fetal bovine serum is $800, you are not going to do too many research for this, or very little amount of companies can do this. So, but if you lower the cost of this production now, then I would say there are other things also needs to be said. For example, the bioreactors or the microcarriers, that these are required, as well as these growth medium supplements. But I mean, this will be solved much more easily if some, the cost of the production will be decreased. So when it decreases, I think it's going to be much faster. Now, the one thing that is for future, for example, people are. It's not related to our, the cultivated meat, but we have a couple of weeks ago we have a couple investors from US visited our lab in Turkey, and we were talking. Actually, they were interested in the space. So they are interested in because in the next coming years, not only the meat but the space industry or the space journey will become popular in maybe 10 or 15 years. So how are you going to feed those people? Are you going to take the animals to the spaceships and transport it to the planets and then do whatever you do there? So that is actually, this cultivated meat should be successful if you want to go for the space. We may not be able to see it to go to space and eat the meat there, but actually that's another applications that our children's or grandchildren's will pursue.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, as if you looking for some countries, they have approved the production. Like US recently approved the production process of cultivated meat, and Singapore already companies are selling their product. So, sir, how do you address the concern around the safety and regulatory approval of cultivated meat product, and what steps are being taken to ensure that these meat product are safe and aligned with the food safety standards? So how government play the role to approve these products? We are also had developed our product. There are two type of product. One is we call it the chicken keema, and the second product is cultivated meat based on the scaffold. So we call it scaffold based meat. So it's a more texturized than the keema one. So we have developed the product. We have product in our basket, but we are stuck with the government body. We are continuously dealing with it to get approval. So how do you address these concerns with respect to the safety and regulatory approval?
Okay, so when I receive this kind of a question, first I would say, how do you know that the meat that you eat are safe? So
yes.
So people are asking whether the meat that this after the cultivated meat, whether it's going to be safe or not, but we don't know actually whether the meat that we eat right now is safe, because I mean this is not just my idea, because if you look at for the health statistics, many diseases are associated with the intestines and stomach and that kind of stuff, and liver. So we don't know what is the effect of today's meat production or the consumption contains to this. So therefore, of course, it has to be safe. So there are ways of checking whether this is safe or not. And I think with the technology developing, the biotechnology developing at this point, it is more than it's safe. The safety of this material will be evaluated without any doubt. So therefore, I don't think that there is going to be a safety problem. In terms of because this is what we are doing is actually instead of a uterus of a cow, you produce this in the bioreactor. So I don't. People are saying that we don't know the meat that we are in, how much antibiotics will be pushed or pulled, given to these animals to keep them safe, healthy. But these antibiotics that we are not using that kind of antibiotics here, that much of antibiotics in this process. So therefore, I mean, it is, I would say if somebody asks how safe, I would say how safe today to eat meat. So yes. The other thing is the government regulation. Of course, this is an important issue. I think the people are. I understand that people are, or the governments or the other people are, they, if something becomes new and people should approach with a caution, so there is no problem with this. So whenever, but this has to be in previous. If you look at 100 years ago, or you don't need to go 100 years ago. For example, 20 years ago, if somebody told you that there is going to be electric cars, people do not believe you. But now it is, I mean, it is safe. It's going to be the option in the next few decades. So there is going to be, every new thing will receive some kind of, every innovations receives some kind of caution. So that is no problem. I think the role of governments here is, of course, to regulate this process. So this should not be produced in a way to make it hazardous for the human health and also for the animals as well. So, but that is the job of these government officials or other kind of regulatory people to set up rules for this. But I think, as you mentioned, now after Singapore, for example, both US and Israel is also, approve this kind of usage to certain level, but it is going to be increased by the coming years. But now, what is needed for this purpose? To tell you the truth, I don't know, because I am not a government regulatory people. Sometimes they ask me how this concept will be accepted by the population, and I said, I am a scientist, so I am trying to make up develop this process to make it less costly, but I am not a government official or any kind of lawyer or something like that. So in this is not our only art. So people are always thinking, this cultivated meat, this is the solution for the earth, and these companies should know. I think all people on earth should do something, because
Exactly.
not only the scientists, but the government officials, lawyers, or the religious peoples or clerks and this kind of things. Also, everybody has a different role in order for this to become more common. Obviously, people, there are many people also very strictly oppose this kind of approach, the cultivated meat. But if they think whatever they think is, I respect them, but their children or grandchildren, this is going to be what they consume. There is no
Yes, sir.
turning back.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for giving your opinion and view about this industry and the future projection about cultivated meat industry and what Biftek in doing from last few years, and also you are completely involved to develop and scale up the production of cultivated meat and looking for the alternative to fetal bovine serum. And I am not taking more time of you, sir. And finally, a final question I want to ask. So, sir, what advice would you give to the student or researcher who are interested in pursuing a career in cultivated meat research? And what skill and knowledge do you think the most valuable for the success in this field?
For advice, I would say, so this process, these people should be patient, the students, because these are the early days of this progress or this change. But I think these students or researchers should contact because this is an expensive also, as well as expensive process to do this. So to join the forces with the other people and other labs, and also talk to the scientists or whatever people on these companies that to do what they can do. So sometimes, for example, in our company, we have people in the wet labs, so that we do the experiments and the other things, research, but as well, we have also people who work on the computers like bioinformatics. So it is not, not only doing the bioinformatics. So it's not only the molecular biology or developmental biology, but like the people who, if you are interested in the computer, for example, and if these students or researchers have computer skills, for example, understand that. So just you can provide very important research data by using the computers as well. So my advice is you all are different. For example, if you are, as I mentioned before, if you are in a law students, for example, if you are looking in a law school, so you can specialize on this kind of regulations, which is going to be common in the coming years. It's going to be very popular in the coming years. So I wouldn't say there is only one. I say that there is not only one way of providing as a student. Almost every disciplines, both science on social sciences and in the general science, can provide to this production, to progress in this production. And the second question that you ask is the second question. I told too much. So what is the second question, by the way?
That's it. That's it. I want to ask that what are the skills and the knowledge?
So, this is
for the
so there is not only one skill for this.
Yeah.
So there are many skills: computer, social, biology, as well, of course, veterinarian. So these are all the skills that are required for clerks, religious people also, not only the science, but the social sciences as well as this religious science will be required for this process.
You have mentioned correctly, sir. So thank you so much, sir, to having you on board of the expert discussion. And I would like to really thank you from our whole team that having you on board, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's very nice to talk to you. Hopefully we will see you again.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay.
Bye-bye.